Update. I'm 28 female, lost weight, and now I want to divorce my husband, 29 male. Original post. We've been married for 5 years and together for 7 years. We also have a 3-year-old kid. After having the baby, I struggled a lot with losing the baby weight and adjusting to being a parent. I also had a baby blues at first, which was tough. I wasn't really focused on my appearance, and instead I was trying to figure out our new routine and way of life. But then my husband started making these little comments about my body and how I should start working out and wearing makeup again. It made me feel really awful, and I worried that he might start looking elsewhere because we weren't being intimate anymore. He even suggested hiring a nanny so I could have more time for myself, but I wanted to be there for our baby full-time, so I turned down the offer. That made him angry, and he started acting cold towards me. Months went by without any hugs, kisses, romance, or any kind of affection. My self-esteem hit rock bottom. Every time I looked in the mirror, all I saw were the flaws that my husband pointed out. By this point, our son was already 2 years old, and I desperately wanted to win my husband back. I thought that if I got in shape again, he would show me love and affection and our marriage would be saved. I craved his attention so much, and it hurt to see how much things has changed. But you can't force someone to be affectionate. I took matters into my own hands and hired some help. With more free time, I started going to the gym, taking swimming classes, which are amazing for your back by the way, getting my hair and lashes done regularly, and eating healthier. And guess what? I've lost a ton of weight, and I feel amazing. Suddenly, my husband started touching me, kissing me, buying me flowers, and treating me like the complete opposite of how he treated me before. You'd think that would make me feel better, but for some reason, it made me feel worse. All I could think about were the hurtful things he said to me when I was at my lowest, and how cold he was towards me. I get that you can't force attraction, but why couldn't he just hug me or give me a kiss on the cheek, even when I was overweight? Why couldn't he love me as a human being and the mother of his child? When my self-esteem came back, I got really angry at myself for putting up with his behavior for so long. A few days ago, I told him I wanted a divorce because I don't think I can move past how badly he treated me. He apologized and promised to change and prove that he can be better. But honestly, I'm not sure if I can trust him again. What if I gain weight again or have to deal with health issues? Will he treat me like garbage again? I've talked to some friends and family about the whole situation, and some say I should give him another chance while others say I should leave him. So I'm turning to Reddit for some advice. Am I justified in being upset over this? Do you think it's possible for my husband to change his behavior for a long term? Or is a divorce the right move here? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Yes, you're justified. I've had huge weight swings in my marriage, and my husband never treated me like crap when I was heavier. Based on what is he going to change? Saying you will is meaningless. Frankly, I wouldn't want to be with someone who treated strangers like that, let alone me. How will you treat your kid if they are overweight? I've been both my lowest weight and my highest weight in my current relationship, and how I look has never had an impact on how my husband treated me. When I was 140 pounds, he told me I was sexy and couldn't keep his hands off me. And when I was 220 pounds, he told me I was sexy and couldn't keep his hands off me. 100% justified. OP's husband has shown that he cannot, and will not, hold up his end of for better and for worse through sickness and in health. What happens if she gets cancer, loses a limb, or when she inevitably ages and starts sagging? Boot him to the curb. Gosh, I'm so sorry. This is truly awful. I'm a year older than you. I'm almost 30, and I'm telling you that there's so much more out there for you. My daughter is 6 now, and when I left her father, I thought my life was over. He used to complain about everything. How I dressed, the music I listened to, the TV shows I watched. I realized after my daughter was born, I would never want her to deal with the treatment I was accepting for myself. Move on. If you gain weight again, or heaven forbid, get sick in some way, this is not the man you want to be by your side. Those men are out there, and you are so young. You can find someone who will love you with no strings attached. Now for the update. Thanks a lot for all the advice you gave me after my last post. It was really tough to make a decision, especially considering our son. So I sat down with my husband and had a conversation about what happened. He kept saying sorry, but I asked him if he actually understood why his behavior was hurtful. He just kept saying he was being a jerk, but I feel like he didn't really grasp why it was a problem. So I broke it down for him. I told him that saying I still looked pregnant 3 months after giving birth, or calling me a mess because of my dark circles, rolling his eyes when I wanted to show affection, not talking to me for days without any reason, and not wanting to spend time together were all really hurtful. And on top of that, he didn't offer to help so I could take care of my mental health. Instead, he wanted me to go to the gym and get in shape. When I reminded him of all this, he couldn't even look me in the eye and didn't say a word. The silence in the room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I just don't think he fully understands how badly he treated me. No amount of extra weight can justify that kind of behavior. I wouldn't treat a stranger like that, let alone someone I love. But for the sake of our son, I still offered him couples counseling. And guess what? He refused. He said he was afraid that the therapist and I would team up against him and make things worse. We went round and round in circles, and after almost 3 hours of talking, I finally had enough and told him I wanted a divorce. He tried to convince me that he could prove he can change, but when I asked him how, he just said I had to have faith in him and see it for myself down the line. That's just not good enough for me. I told him I was taking our son to my mom's place for the weekend and that we would discuss everything before finalizing the divorce on Monday. He said okay and we left. But now he won't stop blowing up my phone, begging for a second chance, and telling me how much he loves me and how he made a mistake. It's really disheartening to see how much he changed after we had our son. All I ever wanted from him was love, loyalty, and respect. But he didn't give me any of that in the past few years. I still wanted to give him a chance, but he doesn't want to put in the work to make things better. If it comes to that, I'll be able to raise our son on my own as I'm financially independent and secure. I also have a lot of help, so it'll be okay. I still want him to be a part of our son's life and be the best daddy he can be. But I can't be with someone who doesn't love or respect me. I wanted to thank you again for all your support and the advice you gave me. I thought my husband was the person I would grow old with, but the universe has other plans for me. It will be really hard to let him go, but I'm hoping it's for the better. His refusal to attend counseling proves he is more interested in protecting his ego than mending the relationship. Best of luck. You deserve a partner that can show you respect and affection. I have a feeling he only wants her back, because getting divorced is also a bruise to his ego and how he would look to his peers. And yet, he hasn't even listed a single way he would change. This exactly. After I split up with my ex-husband, he begged for a year to get back together. When I finally asked what would be different if we got back together, he looked puzzled and said, "Well, nothing. But you've got to take me back, because you're my wife." Needless to say, I declined. It's always confusing for me when someone refuses therapy but in the same breath says they don't want to lose you. It just shows they will still always put themselves first. Agreed. After reading that, I was thinking, okay, this is a shot to own up to his mistakes and try to fix things with this relationship. But nope, doesn't seem like he's up for that. It seems like he knows he messed up big time, assuming his wife and therapist would team up against him. It also shows he's not putting in much effort to understand why he messed up and make things right. So the OP going for a divorce was probably the right move. Proud of you for standing up for yourself. It's hard, but so worth it. Last story. Update. My 30 female husband, 34 male, keeps sneaking out to the middle of the night. Original post. As the title says, my husband keeps sneaking out in the middle of the night. For basically as long as I can remember, I've gotten up around 4 a.m. or so to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. That's just how my body is. And lately when I do so, I won't find my husband in bed. In fact, I can't find him anywhere. He does have pretty bad insomnia, and sometimes on really bad nights, I would find him in the living room watching TV or playing a video game. Also, it is not every night. It's maybe every other night that he is sneaking out. I'm trying not to let it bother me, but this has been going on for about a month now, and I'm starting to get really annoyed/worried about where he's going, and what he's doing at such weird hours of the night. It happened again the other night, and I stayed up until he decided to come home at 6 a.m. Mind you, I don't know how long he was actually gone, just that he hadn't been there from about 4 a.m. until then. I admit I was pretty cranky and annoyed when he got home, and I asked him where he had been. He told me not to worry about it and let's go back to sleep. I kept pushing, and he said he just goes out for a walk. I wasn't satisfied with that answer, but the conversation kept going back, so he just takes a walk to burn any extra energy or to clear his head when he can't sleep. So I decided to drop it, as I was pretty tired and had to be up in an hour to go to work anyway. Well, it happened again tonight/this morning. I got up to go to the bathroom and I couldn't find my husband anywhere. Again, I was really annoyed, and I stayed up to see when he would get home. It was 5:35, so that's an improvement at least. When he got home, he looked so sleepy and climbed into bed. And without saying a word, I got out and took my pillow and blanket and came to the couch where I am now. I know it's petty to give him the silent treatment, but I'm frustrated, and I just want to be by myself right now. I can hear him snoring, so I guess his walk worked. I'm not sure what to do now. I'm exhausted and I honestly just want to know the truth. Should I confront him? I'm not big in confrontation, but at the same time, I really want to know what's going on. Now for the top advice before reading the update. It's weird that he didn't mention it until you caught him. Everyone is saying you're out of line for being suspicious, probably isn't married. Because the first time me or my husband's insomnia was bad enough, we left the house on foot, in the dark for hours. We would mention something the next morning. Like, wow, crazy, right? But it really helped, so I might keep taking walks. Checking in with your life partner like this isn't controlling, it's for safety. He doesn't need your permission, but if he's outside in the middle of the night, you should know. What if he doesn't come home one morning? You call the cops and report him missing and all you can say is, I don't know. He says he walks for hours at night, but I have no idea where he went / where he could be. I actually am constantly sharing my location in my phone with my husband, my mom and my best friend for reasons like this. Your husband can do what he wants without permission, but not without giving you a heads up as a courtesy. I honestly think he's probably doing something shady and you should trust your gut. It sounds like he's pretty dismissive when you ask where he's been. Let's be real here. Going for a walk for 2 hours in the middle of the night is not normal. Does he acknowledge that? Does he validate the trauma you have on top of that? Is he working on things he might do to avoid such strange behavior? Nothing in this post suggests to me that you're jumping to conclusions, and I think most people would suspect something is wrong here. I think you should insist on a more thorough discussion with him before anything else. A friend has really bad insomnia and goes for a walk in the middle of the night. It is often the only thing that enables her to sleep. Okay, but if your friend's partner wanted to know where she had been, would she be dismissive of their concern? When she came back, yes. As if she gets straight into bed, she can sometimes go to sleep. But if she is interrupted, she won't get any sleep. OP needs to have a sit-down conversation with him at a different time and see what the case is. Now for the update 9 months later. Hello all, I wanted to provide you with an update. Apologies for taking so long to update. My life has been a whirlwind for the past 8 months, and I honestly haven't been in the best mental state. Also warning, this update touches on topics of depression, drug use, and cheating. So, about 2 months ago, a police car pulled up to my house and 2 police officers knocked on my door. They told me they were there to do a wellness check on my husband because his girlfriend hadn't heard from him in 3 days and was worried about him. They asked me if I was his sister or what my relationship to him was. I told them I was his wife, and beyond that I can't even remember what I said. I was in shock. I just remembered them leaving and me closing the door and crying. He was at work at a time, and when he got home, he could tell I was upset. I mean, it was obvious, because every time I tried to speak, I would just start crying again. Eventually, it got to the point that I guess he knew he had to come clean, and he told me everything. So yeah, I found out he had been cheating on me with an ex-coworker of his. Not only this, but he had been supporting her and her 2 kids, because she couldn't hold down a job and he didn't want them to end up homeless. The reason she couldn't hold down a job is because she was/is into drugs, and would go on week-long benders where she just wouldn't show up to work. And he says that about a year ago, she called him out of the blue and cried to him, saying that she was about to lose her apartment because her husband was cheating on her and had basically vanished. Ironic, I know. Leaving her with all the bills that had to be paid, and her 2 kids needed food and new stuff for school. He says that at first, it was just financially supporting her and her kids, until he started doing the drugs with her, and that's when things escalated. He told me he had cut things off with her 3 days before the police showed up, and that's why they were doing a wellness check. So I asked him if that was where he was going when he was sneaking out. He said yes, for the most part. He also said, to be fair, I really would just go on a walk or drive around sometimes. And I know there are going to be questions about how I didn't notice the missing money, so here's my answer. We have separate bank accounts. He pays for his bills and I pay for mine. And our joint bill comes out of my account, and it pays me back whatever the total is for those bills. And well, he never stopped paying me for those bills, and household things that were in his name never got shut off. So I never had a reason to think anything was wrong in that area. I've been so emotionally numb for these past 2 months, and he has been begging me for about 2 months to make a decision about our relationship. As in divorce, because being in limbo is really stressful for him. I honestly just don't want to even put any energy into thinking about the future at all right now. All of my friends and family are telling me to get a divorce. But I don't know, everything had been great up until 8 months ago, and our lives are so intertwined. That feels so stupid to say, but I'm basically paralyzed with numbness. I did, however, make an appointment for couples therapy, so I guess I will see how that goes. He seems up to it. And I just wanted to extend a thank you to all the people that took the time to read this and the last one. I'm so sorry. I hate to add to your pain, but you need to get an STD test now. If he was sleeping with a drug addict, then he could pass something on to you. Please think seriously about seeing a divorce attorney to see about your options. STD test was the first thing I thought of too. Then also divorce this man. Your life is not intertwined enough to stay with someone who would only confess because he got caught. Change your couples therapy to personal therapy and find some self-love and self-respect. If your best friend told you this was happening to them, what would you advise them to do? He's not just sleeping with her, he is also doing drugs. Who knows where the substances come from, or what is laced with, or with whom else they use? If applicable, are they sharing needles? I'm sorry, but there is no salvaging this relationship. Even now he's more worried about himself over what he did to you, OP. I mean, seriously, it's causing him stress? What? Like the past 8+ months of you asking and worrying didn't cause you stress? He's selfish and doesn't really seem to care what you decide. He just wants it done. Personally, I'd end it and get tested ASAP if you haven't already. Also, I freaking laughed with his. To be fair, he did walk sometimes. Oh, okay. Guess I can forgive you since there were a few nights in the last 8+ months you haven't been banging someone else, doing drugs and risking my health and financial stability. Whatever. Also, don't tell him now. Go speak to an attorney. Get your ducks in a row and make a plan. Then let him know you've filed and have him served. You make the first move.